The market may be feeling a little cold, but records this past week haven't just been set, they're getting shattered. Let's get into it.
Man, this is why I love the runners-up list. It's books that you don't see very often because they're just one-off, record-breaking sales. Number 10 on the list, Captain Planet. He's our hero.
Gonna take pollution down to zero. We have Captain Planet and the Planeteers issue number 1, seeing its first in comic history 9.8 publicly recorded sales. Hot damn has got to be coming for this Lonely Inn grade. 51 slabs exist on the CGC census. Only 6 9.8s, 7 9.6s, which are the only sales to kind of gauge the price of that 9.8.
The last recorded GPA sale of the 9.6 is $125, which was in August of this year. Its all-time record high was $150, and that was also from August of this year, just 1 week prior.
The 9.8 this past week came to market and had a record-setting sale of $650. And to probably no one's surprise, there isn't any updates on this franchise, but considering that the last update that we have is under 10 years old, that's still a little shocking to me. And it was back in 2016 when Leonardo DiCaprio's company picked up the IP.
Sources say that the movie was supposed to be a washed-up Captain Planet who needed the kids more than the kids needed him. I kind of want to see that movie.
Slap that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're here every 7 days reporting on the health of the comic book marketplace. And next on the list is a golden age comic book, an oldie that I don't know much about, but I got a guy who does.
All right, I'm going to deliver to you guys number 9 on this list, Science Comics number 4. This was put out by Fox Feature Syndicate, my favorite publisher of the golden age. Check out this unbelievable science fiction cover. You have this beastly creature in the back. You have the space reptile mad scientist figure in the front being phasered by Cosmic Carson. His job was to patrol space against any types of villains and menaces that contained it. This book had a sale of a 7.5 just this year for $31,200. And we just saw a 1.5 sell for $4,080 the very next month. A fantastic book and so much to love here. Let me tell you about another book I have to talk about on this list because Heritage Auctions had a huge Fox Feature Syndicate sale in the beginning of December. So we got to see many rare books that we don't get to see normally. One of them was this Wonderworld Comics number 28. It's the first appearance of U.S. Jones, who was very much like a Captain America character. He came out 6 months later. This book came out in 1941, the same year as Cap did. He only survived till issue 33 and then his own title of 2 more issues before Fox Feature Syndicate went out of business. But regardless, this book in a 2.5 sold for $2,880. Because this book is so rarely traded, it's an absolute gift to get an opportunity at all to buy it. Congrats to the winner. And guys, on with the list.
And that brings us to number 8 on the list with a variant of which you have to know the signs of. We're talking DC Universal logo variants. We have Superboy number 9 debuting in 1994 and getting a reprint that you could have only found in a multi-pack sold at various franchises such as Toys R Us. We have the first appearance of King Shark. We have a $2,000 record-setting 9.8 sale. Hot damn.
Setting the bar for what that DC Universe logo can do to a 9.8. The regular 9.8 saw its all-time record high last year in April when it sold for $800, just 1 week after the Suicide Squad trailer, which King Shark stole the show.
Recent GPA sales show a 9.8 hitting under $100, $95 this very month. The DCU logo on the bottom of that comic book indicates that it's a scarce variant, a reprint that is difficult to acquire in high grade. If you know your DCU keys, well, you're going to be more affluent on the hunt. And no better way to stay up on your hunt than by downloading the best comic app in existence. It's called Key Collector Comics, and you could utilize code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app. Support the show and get access to every category, every news bit of information that you can get to better your knowledge on funny books.
And you're going to want to keep up on this stuff because somebody just bought a 9.6 for $77 this week. For $20 more, they could have had a 9.8.
And what's this at number 7? Creatures of the Id, number 1. We have the first appearance of the independent creation by Mike Allred. We have the Madman. we have Frank Einstein making his debut in 1990. So much love for the independent creations from the 80s to 90s. This book saw massive drops over this last year. Maybe a good one to add to your search waiting list.
No big news about Madman except for the fact that he showed up in issue 3 of Donny Cates crossover, and the fact that Michael Allred in a tweet mentioned that all the rights reverted back to him. He's just too busy making comics right now to do anything with the property.
Really keeping himself busy with Mark Russell on Superman Space Age. I recommend the Silver Surfer run he teamed up with Dan Slott to do. And we have a 9.4 of Creatures of the Id to discuss. Last selling for $325 back in 2018 for an increase of 23%, selling for $400. There's 195 total slabs on the census, 40 of which are graded at a 9.8. The record high was set in June of 2020. Really during the start of the comic boom and full nostalgia swing, selling for $2,040. The last 9.8 clocked in its sale in August of this year, selling for $408. That is 75% down.
Such a great grab for that book, especially considering what the 9.4 just went for. Moving on to number 6 on the list, we have Strange Adventures, issue 79 from 1957.
This is an iconic Gil Kane cover in such a ridiculous sci-fi horror Christmas narrative where aliens disguise themselves by utilizing snowmen to stay alive during their invasion attempt on Earth. We have Plutonians that invade in the form of snowmen. We're talking laser beam eyes, comic fam.
What a scarce book with just 52 total slabs on the census. Shout out to the new 52, with the highest grade point being a 9.0. There's only one copy with no recorded public sale, one copy of an 8.0, which the last GPA sale shows $508 in May of 2014.
Speaking of May, in 2017, that's where we saw the one of 5 copies that exist of the 7.5 selling for $525. This week, we have a 5.0 that came to market, last selling in 2021 for $600 for an increase of 20%, selling for $720. And it makes sense. If the aliens are from Pluto, Earth would be too warm, which is why their goal, as far as their invasion plan, is to start a new ice age.
Invaders from the ice world? That's cold. Moving on to number 5 on the list, we got some video game love here. The Legend of Zelda, issue number 1 from 1990, the no price variant.
Oh snap, we have Zelda 1, the first appearance in comic books in the Valiant Comics run, which is kind of a rendition of the animation that debuted within a year prior to the release of this. Did you know that there was an animation that came out in the early 90s? I sure as hell didn't. What about you, Jem?
I didn't catch that one. I was too hung up on the Super Mario Brothers animated series / live action television show. We'll talk about that in a bit. This was pretty early on in the Zelda timeline as well. The first game came out in 1986. The second game, The Adventure of Link, came out in 1987. The television series came out in 1989. And then the comic came out in 1990. All
this before A Link to the Past, which wouldn't come out for another year, the third game. And that's known as one of the greatest video games of all time. Let's take a look at this 9.6 that sold last back in October for $412 for an increase of 32% this week, selling for an all-new high of $545.
Now remember, this is the no price variant, which there are 58 total slabs on the CGC census. With no prior record, we can compare it to the regular edition. The regular edition sold for $330 in November of this year. That was the most recent sale. Its all-time high was in July of 2021, where it sold for $895.
So it's selling for a couple $100 more than their regular copy. I think had this book come out last year, it would have broke 1,000. Although we're looking at a record breaker, I still think the price is low. Yo, big shout out to Beachside Hobbies over on Whatnot, who's released a bunch of gorgeous homages to Zelda as of late. They did a Ninja Funk one. They did a Quested variant as well. Just like I did, I teamed up with Quested writer and artist, Whatnot Publishing co-owner, Michael Calero, for a variant to this very book on the runners-up list.
Clearly some Zelda fans here, and I always know Fire Guy Ryan helped put this list together when Green Lantern shows up at number 4. Green Lantern issue 23 from 1963. It's a Silver Age book, the first appearance of the Tattooed Man. Now, that kind of sounds like somebody that James Gunn would use if he had his way.
This villain tattoos himself with this special chemical that allows him to then touch the shapes to manifest the weapons that his skin is displaying. And clearly, because the ink is yellow, he becomes a primary foe to the Green Lantern.
It's clearly giving Polka Dot Man vibes with what James Gunn did in The Suicide Squad. You can see this being adapted to film. There are 105 slabs on the CGC census, which includes just one 1.0, 11 9.0s, 6 9.2s, and 3 9.4s.
We got 2 9.6s. The last sale was in May of 2020 where it sold for $11.40. And there are 2 9.8s that exist but have never sold publicly. And this is a very strange character that I agree we could absolutely see James Gunn having a field day with. This is a sailor who turns to robbery that talks like a pirate.
And we have a 9.0 that broke record this week. It sold for $194 back in 2009, up 78%, now selling for $345.
In Comic Fam, we are in active enrollment for the January Mystery Mail Call, the first box of 2023. And you can directly support the show by giving me an excuse to send you comics every single month and joining the community. We're sending out a team up between us and the art director of God of War. Yes, Raph Grassetti is kicking off the year with a Berserker #1 going in, 1 per box, Virgins being sent out at random. Link in the description. And Jem, hit him with number 3 on the list.
Number 3 on the list, we're kicking into the Silver Age with Fantastic Four issue number 6. It's the first team up, something that we've seen trending throughout this whole year, of 2 supervillains in the Marvel Universe, Namor and Doctor Doom.
The second appearance of Doctor Doom, by the way, and the second appearance of Submariner in the Silver Age. Post Black Panther, wouldn't expect to see so many of these keys remaining strong. And Namor, as well as Doctor Doom keys, have been doing just that, even with the lack of Victor Von Doom in the movie. The 1.5 last sold in 2020 for $325. And we're seeing an increase this week of 57% with an all-new high at $510.
Impressive sales from the 1.5. There are only 1,304 total slabs on the census, which includes 19 copies of a 0.5. Last GPA sale being $559 in June. This was a complete copy. There are 26 9.0s. The last GPA sale is also the record high. It was in June of this year, and it was for $10,800.
Considering that a member paid more money for a 0.5 earlier this year than what this 1.5 went for, although it's a record-breaking sale, I still think it was a good deal.
That was a great grab for sure. Moving on to number 2 on the list, we have Planet of the Apes / Green Lantern issue 6 from 2017, the 1/20 ratio. Now, last week's runners-up, you saw us talk about the Lobo homage with the Green Lantern rings. Well, this time we have a Planet of the Apes style.
That's right. This variant was done by Paul Ravoch, and we have a 9.8 that hasn't seen the market since 2019, selling for $59 then for an increase of 746% with an all-new high of $499. Hot damn. Now, it's going to make more sense because I think a lot of people don't know about this book. I don't think there's very many people who order Green Lantern besides Fire Guy Ryan. There are only 5 slabs currently registered on the census, 5 of which are graded at 9.8.
So like I mentioned, this is an homage to the classic Green Lantern 49 from 1994 of Hal Jordan having all the lantern rings on his fingers. We've got a couple homages here we're going to throw up on the screen.
Making the list last week is one of the most sought-after Lobo covers on Green Lantern 55. Ivan Rice did a homage on Green Lantern 23 that is fantastic. We even have the Joker James Tynion run with a variant on issue number 7. The Joker as Hal Jordan.
We've got Marvin the Martian paying homage for Green Lantern 46, and they even recreated this scene in the Green Lantern the animated series.
Hit the like, slap the subscribe button. We're here to report on the comic books trending that are hot, that are making a splash in the comic book marketplace, the health of the industry every single week. And at the list at number 1, the number 1 record-breaking sale is one of the most sought-after holiday comic books, and it's because it features the work of a legend for the first time. Solson Christmas Special number 1, the debut of Jim Lee in comics.
That's right, the first interior inks for the great Jim Lee. Now, there are only 87 slabs on the CGC census, which includes 2 6.5s, just 12 9.0s, 16 9.2s, and 12 9.4s. There are 25 9.6s, and the last GPA sale on that was in May of this year, where it sold for $350. Not too far off from its all-time record high, the worst day to buy anything, the day after Christmas, December of 2021, where it sold for $405.
There are only 6 9.8s on the census, and one just sold this past week for a record-breaking sale for the first time in comic history, last selling in 2021 for $1,020 for an increase of 76% for an all-new high of 1,800. Hot damn. This right here has less to do about the holiday season and more to do with the scarcity of the 9.8s and the interest to collect artists' work, their first work, in the marketplace.
Did you know about this one? Name some of your favorite Jim Lee comics in the comments down below. And as always, geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Join myself, Gem Mint, and so many of my homies on the best new place to buy and sell collectibles. It's called Whatnot, where we do dollar start auctions that last as little as 15 seconds long. We break out the keys, we break out the giveaways. We have 2 other videos for you to check out. We made them for you. Have a great week.